I'm very happy to introduce today Tim Haywood, the Managing Director of Walton Global Middle East. Tim, hi.
Hi, Dennis. Good to be here. Thank you for arranging this for us.
Yeah, that's my pleasure. Tim, we, as you know, we work with your company. It's for many years, and we had a lot of investors from Middle East, and we have investors from CIS region. From even we had a lot of investors from Russia some time ago, and we mostly focus on commercial real estate projects. So we raise a lot of foreign capital for different companies in the United States, but you have a bit different structure and a bit different projects, and we know that a lot of our investors are very happy with your company already, but we would like you to tell more about your company during this interview and about yourself.
Sure, absolutely. Well, thank you again for your support over the years. It's always been a pleasure working with you. So my name's Tim Haywood. I'm the Managing Director of Walton Global here in the Middle East. I've been with Walton for around 16 years myself, previously based in our Hong Kong office. So I've seen everything going on with Walton. And Walton itself is a 45-year-old company. We are a land asset management company, and we focus on the research and acquisition of land in the path of growth, primarily in the United States. So we have around 92,000 acres of land under administration. We have around 95,000 investors globally, and the kind of in-joke with Walton is we are raising capital 24/7 somewhere around the globe. We have offices across the US, in Germany, here in the Middle East, and then a big presence in Asia where we've had offices for almost 30 years now, Hong Kong, Singapore, up into China and the like. So we truly do have a global presence, and we've been doing this for a long time.
Oh, that's amazing. Tim, can you explain just briefly what is the main difference between commercial real estate and land investment opportunities that you have?
Yeah, so the commercial real estate space is really dominated by, office towers, hotel developments, that kind of development, typically in major urban centers, so in the city centers and whatever it might be. Residential development, depending, of course, where in the world it is very much focused on housing. Homes, condominiums, single-family detached homes, as they're known in the US, and master plan communities, which are close to schools and employment centers, amenities, retail and the like. So they operate very differently. And what we're primarily focused on is providing land to the major publicly traded home builders in the US, who obviously build an awful lot of homes every year, and they need land to do that. So we effectively feed them land as our clients to allow them to get on with the home building that they need to meet the demand in the US.
Oh, interesting. So how it works, I just want to have a clear understanding. So how it works, you have a contract with the main developers in the United States, and you find the land and then for them, and then they build some kind of residential property there or commercial. How it works? Can you explain, please?
Yeah, so Walton's model is very much to focus on the research and acquisition of land in the path of growth. So we're looking at major fundamental criteria, such as the creation of jobs, the movement of people, and the home builder activity on a regional basis. And as we drill down through those, through that due diligence process, we're able to identify markets that are very well represented by major home builders. They're building a lot of homes. There's strong demand in the market because of the demographics and the fundamentals I mentioned earlier. And so really our job then is to identify those individual parcels of land which are going to be suitable for large-scale residential development at some point in the future. And what's unique about our model is we then secure interest from major publicly traded home builders who tend to sign a letter of intent to secure exclusivity on that particular land asset, and then work hand in hand with Walton to work on the planning, the approval processes with the cities, and ultimately look to sell that land to that home builder on a phase by phase or occasionally on a bulk sale basis. And through that entire process, we invite investors to participate in those land projects. And of course, as we sell the land to the home builder, then the investors benefit from the return created to them. So it's a tried and tested model, but it is very unique. And I think one of the unique aspects of the way that we operate in the US is that we have a national program. And what I mean by that is that we have land assets across the US in these high growth areas. And so when we work with these home builders, we're able to present to them a portfolio of assets across the US, which then they can plug into to meet their respective development requirements.
Interesting. So first of all, you find a land and then you find a developer, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
okay.
Yeah, we undertake a very stringent due diligence process on each and every land asset.
One of my next questions, yes.
Sorry to jump in.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way that we do that is we work with third-party analysts, engineering consultants. We conduct a lot of environmental impact assessments, environmental studies prior to acquisition to make sure that we can mitigate risk throughout the process prior to acquiring the land. And then at the time of acquiring the land, we're speaking to the different home builders who are active in the market and effectively, tendering the project out to the home builder that's going to come in with the best terms, the most competitive terms, and of course, very importantly, who has a proven model in the market. Okay. So they've been active in the market, they've been selling homes, they have existing developments, or they're looking to break into a market, but they're active in other markets across the US as well.
That's amazing. And so can we say that at the time when you purchased the land, you already have some kind of negotiations with several developers in the United States who has interest to develop some property there?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so we typically have a letter of intent in place, as I mentioned, which creates that exclusivity for the home builder and allows them to start allocating time and money and resources to the deal. But very occasionally, as we have right now, we have a project which has actually moved beyond a letter of intent and actually has a signed purchase and sale agreement in place with a home builder. So that's quite unique. It's quite rare, I should say, but that's the nature of the relationships that we have with these home builders to be able to bring these projects through that quickly and advance negotiations as we have done with this particular project.
That's amazing, very attractive. But what about the developers itself? So it's as far as I understood, the developers that Walton Global deals in the United States are the biggest developers in the United States, right?
Yeah. So we have relationships with top 20. 30 home builders in the United States. That doesn't mean we've sold land to all of them, but many of them we have, including the two largest. And in fact, they have been some of our biggest buyers of land, our biggest clients over the last few years. And it's becoming quite competitive out there. So across the board, we're seeing a lot of exit activity from a lot of different home builders, but all in the top 20, 30 in the United States. And the top two home builders in the US account for about 21% market share of all new homes built.
Wow.
So they're fantastic clients to work with.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. What is the coverage of Walton Global in the United States? In how many states you work right now?
So we're active in the Sun Belt states of the US primarily. So that stretches from Southern California across into Nevada, down into Phoenix, Colorado. Then we're down into Texas. We're into the Carolinas, into Florida, and Georgia as well. So across the board, we've got the southern states of the United States pretty well wrapped up and covered. But we're always looking at new opportunities as it makes sense to do so. And again, driven by the fundamentals which I mentioned earlier.
Do you know how many projects has been realized during this period of time?
That's a tough one. We're going to have to cut that one out because
Okay.
I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. Yeah, too many. Too many. Yeah,
that's amazing. Tim, as you know, our company is mostly focused on private equity investors from CIS region, which includes former USSR countries like Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Belarus, and many other. And but during the current circumstances, I mean, from political point, is it possible for? Is it still open this opportunity for Russian citizens?
Yeah. So Russian nationals who are residing in the UAE, in Turkey, in other countries outside of Russia, then there's no issue there at all. And ultimately, where the source of money is coming from, if that is coming from outside of Russia, then again, there's no problem at all to welcome those investors into the Walton program.
Yeah, very good, very good. Because, you know, we already have many investors from Russia with Walton. And I have to say that all our investors are very happy with Walton Global.
Yep.
But if the money stands on Russian bank account, which is not sanctioned, will it be able to invest the money into your project from such type of banks?
At the moment, it's a little bit of a challenge, to be quite honest. We obviously there is the sanctioned list and the non-sanctioned list.
Yes.
But I think the general consensus across the banks we're dealing with is that they're quite adverse to receiving Russian bank money. So we do have that challenge. And obviously what we don't want to create is any problems for our own banking needs. If HSBC, for example, turns around and says, well, hang on a second, why is this money coming from Russia?
Yeah.
So we have to be conscious of the international banking policy. So we're safer to say that clients outside of Russia and money coming from outside of Russia is the way forward.
Okay. Well, it makes sense. We have the same situation with our EB5 investors.
Yeah.
Yes. So officially, if the bank is not sanctioned, the investor can still try to send the money, but it depends on the bank that receives the money. Sometimes banks do not want to deal with money that comes from Russia at the moment.
Yeah, and I think banks are getting harder and harder internationally anyway in terms of the way that they conduct their anti-money laundering and know your client questionnaires. We just have to be conscious of that, and we have to fall in line with their policy.
Okay. Tim, tell us, please, what is the minimum investment amount has to be invested into your projects?
Yeah, so the minimum ticket size is $50,000 into our exit-focused pre-development land investment model, and that's standard across the board. And then from 50,000, it's multiples of 10,000 up. So it could be 50,000, 60, 70, 80, etc.
Okay. And can you please tell me a bit more about the investment process? So let's say I'm an investor and I have $50,000 on my bank account, and I would like to invest this money into your project. So what I have to do? What is the process of investment? How difficult is to invest money into a Walton Global project?
Yeah, so thankfully it's very easy. And as you know, through the process, the first thing is that we engage with the client. We present the opportunities to the client, and once they're comfortable to move forward, then we have a single-page reservation form, which the clients complete, which allocates the units of that project to the client. We require a copy of their passport and a copy of their address proof. Once those three things are received, we then take that, we allocate the units to the client, and we then prepare a purchase and sale agreement, which is sent out to the client for electronic signing. Once that's signed, they transfer the money to our typically HSBC account, or they could transfer directly into our Wells Fargo account in the US, and that completes the transaction. So it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. It can be wrapped up within a week or so. It's very easy.
So it may take about a week
Yeah.
to finish the whole process.
Yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned about sales purchase agreement. Usually, the project that we are dealing right now in United States in commercial real estate sphere, the investment amount goes to the project based on the investment agreement, right? So why, in your case, the client has to sign the sales purchase agreement? What does it mean?
Yeah, so the purpose of the sales and purchase agreement is that we are transferring title ownership into the individual client's name. So
Wow.
they're not buying into a fund, they're not buying into, anything, a loan or anything like that. They're buying into the project for which they receive title ownership.
Okay.
So that is part of the security of the investment, is the title ownership. It's tangible.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. So if I invest the money into your project, I will get a title deed, like for the piece of land, right, in the United States.
Correct.
Oh, that's amazing. So this is the way how you secure the investment, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the beauty of the structure of the investment is it's what we call an undivided interest structure.
Okay, what does it mean?
That basically means that clients have an ownership within the entire project, but it's not defined as one particular plot within the project.
Okay.
So they have a shared interest in the entire project. The beauty of that structure means that at any point that there is any kind of sale of any part of the project to a home builder, everybody receives a proportionate return on their investment.
Wow, that's amazing.
So it's a great structure. It works very, very well.
Okay. Can you tell more about how you can ensure the client that his money on safe? Yeah. I know I have to underline that, like any other business, you do not give a guarantee, sure, right? And everybody understands this, but any investor, first of all, thinks not how to make money, but how to not lose the money.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So how can you prove the client that his money is or your money on safe?
Yeah, so first thing is obviously title ownership. The title ownership is in place, which forms a strong part of the security of the investment. And really, secondly, is that we have a put option in place.
What is it?
A put option is effectively capital protection. And what that capital protection provides is an option at year 5, if there has been no exit activity on the project, then the client may opt to exercise the option and receive 115% of their investment back.
115%.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's really the safety net, I call it, at the back of everything. We have a pre-identified home builder up front. We have direct title ownership on the project. We obviously have the projected cash flow of the project, which clients can see before they go in. And all of that is then backed up by this capital protection at the back end. And that is just to purely act as a fallback position, a backstop. If we don't perform, if something happens with a project, what protects the client? Well, ultimately, that's what the put option does.
Okay.
And that's pretty compelling as investment proposition.
Tim, can you tell, that sounds really amazing, but can you please tell what is the average investment period for in your projects? I know that you have different projects and it depends on the project, but what is the average period of investment?
Yeah, probably the average across our projects is 4 to 5 years. I would say some go on a little bit longer, depending on the cash flow schedule. Some are a little bit shorter, but I would say that on average, around 4 to 5 years.
4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And how much the investor can make investing money into your project?
So we're targeting a 12 to 15% per annum IRR, and that again will vary by project. So we've just sold one project out, which was projecting circa 19% per annum return. Wow. We have a current project which is projecting around 15% per annum. So they all vary depending on the time frame and of course the specifics of the project, but pretty healthy returns, and we're targeting, as I say, around 12 to 15% per annum.
Beautiful. And how often do you pay the interest?
So for each project, the projected cash flow will be different. Some projects are annual payments for maybe 4 or 5 years. Others we see that they are structured over maybe 3, even 2 years at a push. They all vary. So the important thing is that once we receive a formal exit offer from a home builder, that will then start the process. And as we then move to closing, that will then be the first point at which payments are made to investors. That will typically take anywhere from 12 to 24 months from the date of investment. And so there's a wait period.
Yep.
And then thereafter, the payments would come through annually until the project is fully sold to the home builder.
I see. But I know that some of your projects in past generated the interest earlier, right?
Yeah.
And you sometimes pay, I know that it depends on the project, but I know that sometimes you pay on a semi-annual basis or even more often.
Yeah, so the semi-annual basis would be more for some of our loan-based products, which we also have. We cover the bases, but they're all ultimately land-based. They're just in different structures according to different markets and different opportunities. So yes, we do have some loan products as well. And if people are looking for more of a fixed income type return, then that's something they may be interested in considering as well.
Okay.
And that's exactly as you say, that's where you're looking at semi-annual payments, maybe over 4-5 year structure.
Okay. Very important question that everybody asks working with our investors. What about taxes? So if I made money with Walton Global, and before I get my income, who will pay the tax?
Yeah, so it's a question we're always asked,
Yes.
particularly because it's the US, and everybody fears the IRS
Yes.
in America.
Of course.
The good thing is that for our product, because of the way, for our EFPDL product, which is our core product, the way that it's treated is as a long-term real estate investment. Because it's held for more than 12 months, it falls into a lower tax category under the IRS guidelines. Now, the other thing is that most people don't realize this, but you or I, as non-US persons, we're able to enjoy a federal tax capital gains allowance each and every year.
I see.
And that currently sits at around $44,000. That means that we can make up to $44,000
Without
in capital
anything.
gains, federal tax free.
Yeah, federal
But
tax.
the way that the US system works is a 15% withholding is applied at source, and then there is a filing to be done to recover any unused amount. So it sounds very complicated, but actually when you break it down, you look at the allowances, you can get out paying a minimal amount in terms of taxation. The good thing is that through our business, we have a third-party tax advisor who will assist clients for a fee to handle their tax filing requirements on the disposition of the asset with our project. So it works very, very well. And that's something that clients can opt to utilize if they wish to, or if they have their own tax advisors, they can appoint them as well.
But that's really impressive. But so the client has to deal with his tax by himself.
By him or herself, with our help,
yes.
with the assistance of our tax advisor if they wish to utilize them.
How expensive will it be to use your tax advisor company that you have?
Yeah, so it's charged at $250 per year of filing. So it's very competitive, particularly if you look at the market in terms of appointing a tax advisor. So it's $250 per year of filing. So for most projects, you might be talking about, $500, $750 in total to recover the withheld amount tax back.
Does the investor has to pay this money like a separate payment to the tax advisor, or it might be deducted from the income?
It will be deducted from proceeds.
Okay.
So it's very, very simple. We make it as easy,
very comfortable.
as easy for clients as possible as we possibly can.
Okay, that's very good. This is one of the most common questions. Yes, usually investors ask. And what about the as far as I understand, it doesn't matter what nationality the investor has. If they can invest the money, we just have some kind of restrictions with Russians right now. But can the investor use his bank account in Dubai, in Turkey, in some European countries, for example, to invest the money into your project?
Yeah, absolutely no problem at all. So if the money is coming from the client's bank account, then that's absolutely fine, and we will provide them with the payment details to transfer the money into our HSBC account.
Okay, let's say I have a business here and I invested the money into a Walton project, and after a couple of years before I get the full amount back, I change my mind and I want to get my interests to another bank account which belongs to me. Can I change the bank account to get the profit?
Yes, you can, absolutely.
Oh, that's very comfortable.
So as soon as payments are due to be made, then we actually invite clients to complete a payment form, a mode of payment form, and that will then dictate where the money is sent to. If they want to change that at any point in the future, then that's absolutely fine as well.
Okay, and another question which is also raised from, especially recently in last time. Some of our investor has kids who studies in Europe, in United States, and they have their own bank accounts. So the investor invests the money into the Walton project, and once the distribution goes to their kids or children, is it possible?
Yes, I mean we have to look everything on a case by case basis, but in principle, yes, it could be done.
Okay, that's very good. One question that is very common among our investors, that some investors usually ask, can I get my money back if something happened in my life with my family? So if I invest money into your project with the investment period of 4 to 5 years, and after 2 years or 3 years I need my money back, can I get this money back?
Yeah, so it's a common question, and I have two parts of that in terms of an answer. The first part would be that this is the last place we would advise a client to go for liquidity in their overall portfolio should they need money in an emergency. It should be put it away and let it do its job. They should have
ideal situation, yes.
Yeah, they should have more liquid assets elsewhere, but in an absolute emergency, because of the structure of the investment, it is freehold title, which means it's freely transferable. Now, if you, for example, found a client who was prepared to buy the project from another client, then that can be transacted. That's doable.
Oh, okay.
But we would never promise it or advertise it as a liquid investment in that sense.
I understand. Yeah, but again, we have different types of clients. We have very wealthy investors and very professional. At the same time, we have a lot of people who just want to save their capital. They're trying to find a safe bay for their money and also make some additional income. And sometimes they may have some unexpected situation in their lives, and they just want to understand, is it possible just in general?
Yeah.
Okay. One more question that I have: does your company invest your own money into the projects you invest for investors?
Yeah. So we're involved in a couple of ways. First, in the due diligence process, we are spending money throughout that due diligence process in researching and acquiring the land up front. So we do a lot of upfront spend in terms of money being put towards the project before we acquire it. In terms of the actual project itself, we retain a very small holding in each and every project ourselves, and that's something we've done for a long time. In the past, it's been a higher amount, but with the advent of the EFPDL model, where we have a pre-identified home builder up front, then that requirement has dropped a little bit, should we say. So we don't need to hold as much, but we do still have a holding in every single project.
Okay. Does the Walton Global in their projects, do you use any other source of funds to finance the project, or you work and raise capital only from private equity investors, foreign investors?
Yeah, so on our EFPDL model, it's all private investors. We do not borrow against the land. We don't raise additional capital elsewhere. And that's important because it means that we're not borrowing and then putting a charge on the land, which then moves the investor down the pile. It's very much, it's an all cash, all equity position, and there's no other kind of financing that comes in on the project at all.
Okay. One more question. You know that right now the in modern life, in modern world, a lot of people keep their money and transfer the money in cryptocurrency. Does the Walton Group accept cryptocurrency to invest?
Sadly, at this moment in time, not yet.
Okay.
We don't have that facility right now. It's something that's been raised a lot, and it's something we've done a little bit of work on looking into. But as of today, then we don't have that facility, unfortunately.
One more question that I would like to answer you is that, let's say I am as an investor. Let's say I have money on my bank account and I'm ready to invest the money. So what should I do? Let's say if I sit in Kazakhstan or in Dubai or in other country, what should I do? Where I have to go, call, email, or whatever. So how can I start the process?
Yeah, so the first thing is obviously as our business partner, clients would come to Vita Vesta and make connection. And of course, from there, we will then be able to work together to bring the opportunities to the client, and they will work through you as our business partner to move forward and make any investment they decide to. Okay,
that's amazing. Yes, and that's our goal too.
Yeah.
Tim, probably the last question that I have for today is that the situation in general in the world is very unstable right now. I know that United States, US market is the biggest market in the world, especially in real estate sphere. But still, many people try to find the best way, the best country to invest. So what, as a professional in this sphere, can you please tell what do you think about the United States market? So how stable this market? What do you think will? I know you cannot say what will happen tomorrow, but how stable this market? What do you think about the perspective of investing money into United States?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The US is still the largest economy in the world, and what we specifically look at are those fundamentals I've talked about before: population growth, employment growth, housing growth. The population of the United States is still growing at a fair pace, but fundamentally speaking, that population are looking for affordable housing. And one of the biggest challenges in the United States today in terms of the housing market is there's simply not enough new homes being built.
It's especially changed from the COVID time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. What you actually saw, though, is not just COVID, but even before COVID, when the subprime crisis hit in the United States, they built a lot less homes than they had done historically. Historically, they're building 1.3, 1.4 million new homes a year. during the recession, they dropped down to under 500,000 new homes a year. And what that has left is a shortfall in the US housing market of between 4.5 and 6.5 million homes, depending on which report you read. The problem you have now is that there is a strong demand from the millennial generation who are looking for affordable housing. As they're working from home more and more, they can afford to live a little bit further away.
Right.
And in an increasing interest rate environment, as we've seen in the US, affordability becomes even more crucial. So the big production home builders are building homes to meet that affordability requirement.
I see.
Because they can build on a production level, which means they can build a lot of homes fairly cheaply. So within the US, although, as I say, overall the economy is pretty robust, and of course we don't know when there will be a recession, but I think so far the general consensus is that US has got through to a sort of a pretty soft landing. Fundamentally for us, in terms of housing, the home building market is looking very, very strong, very robust. And in my 16 years with Walton, I've never seen as much exit activity that we have going on right now with these major home builders who are crying out for land to meet their future development requirements. Right. So overall, we're pretty bullish on the US market, and we continue to be so.
I see. Well, thank you very much. And yes, absolutely. Working with investors, private investors on the Middle East, with investors from CIS region, we see that the demand for United States, the market of United States is growing. The problem that we realized right now is that a lot of people don't understand the market, right? So, like, for example, many people from former USSR republics, they know Dubai, for example, they know Turkey, they buy property there and give it for rent. But this type of investment is quite unknown for them, and the market itself is quite unknown. And that is why we tried making such interview, making such kind of meetings with our investors through the video. We try to explain more about how attractive it is, how easy to invest into United States. And I believe that the number of people will be only growing. We just need to show that this process is very easy. And I know that it doesn't require any control from the investor side, right?
Yeah, so I think one of the big benefits of what we bring to the table for investors is the United States is a long way away. So a lot of people put it out of their mind as an investment market, particularly when it comes to real estate. Right. What Walton provides is a hands-free opportunity to access the US real estate market in a hands-free manner. Absolutely.
Yeah, even without being in the United States.
In more of a passive way. Yeah. And I think that's attractive in itself. And when you back that up with the model that we have, and I wouldn't say perfected, but that we've evolved over the last 45 years, and the relationships we have with the home builders and the features of the investment itself, I think that it's a pretty compelling opportunity for investors to consider. Again, understanding that they understand the US in the sense of the size of the market and the opportunity. Mm-hmm. They just don't know how to access it in terms of investment products.
Exactly. Again, I have another question, so let me allow me please one more.
Sure, of course.
How the market is secured in terms of U.S. regulation. A lot of investors still believe that it's quite dangerous to invest into U.S. real estate or into some other commercial projects in the United States if they don't have an access to United States, because many people, if they invest the money, they want to understand that, I can, anytime I can go and see the project. But in United States, sometimes for many people, it's quite difficult to get a visa. So they just want to understand how protected they are by U.S. regulation for foreign investors.
Yeah, so our product falls into obviously the real estate area, and so again, that's really the security of the title ownership.
Right,
the title can't be taken away from you, and what goes hand in hand with the title ownership in the United States is title insurance. Now, title insurance basically demonstrates the title is clean, it's unencumbered, there's no debt, no liens against the property, it's clean and clear title. And so those two elements really provide that security for investors. And that's the legal ownership of the property, it's title ownership, it's registered with the Land Registry Office in the jurisdiction in which the land is located. And so for most states, clients can actually go online and they can check that their name truly exists on title.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There are some states which are non-disclosure states, which you can't, but most of them you can. So
that's
actually,
amazing.
It provides that comfort for investors should they need it. This is a tangible, real, fully legal investment.
Well, that's really awesome, because, sometimes in modern world again, it's very difficult. I think one of the main questions is where to get the reliable company, the trusted partner. And that is why a lot of people, they're trying to understand that this is the company that I can trust. This is the company where I can build my fund for my future, for my kids and families, and it's very important.
Absolutely.
Tim, thank you very much for coming today. Thank you for the explanation. I believe that this information is extremely interesting. And I hope to see you again, and we definitely will continue to work with your company.
Absolutely.
Bring in more investors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dennis. It's been a pleasure, and really appreciate the time.
Thank you. And for our potential investors, please call to our office, email us. We are almost 24/7. We open and available. We working in Dubai. We have an office in Dubai. We are very mobile, so you can contact us anytime, and we would be more than happy to send information about the Walton Group, Walton Global, about their current investment opportunities. Thank you very much, and hope to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you.